Hi everyone, my name is Rohit, and this is
Sujatha Ganesh. Hello, everybody.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. I'm happy to
Thank
have
you.
you here. Sujatha Ganesh is a supervising public health nutritionist for the WIC program, a special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children that provides healthy food, personalized nutrition education, breastfeeding support, and referrals to other services to support families with limited resources. Born and raised in India, Sujata initially aspired to become a physician. When that path did not materialize, she chose a career in allied health and began her journey in nutrition by earning a master's degree in nutrition and food science. After moving to the US, she continued her education, obtaining licensure as a registered dietitian, along with a master's degree in food science and nutrition from San Jose State University. After a brief working period as a clinical dietitian in a long-term care facility, Sujata joined the WIC program. Driven by a strong passion for helping people live healthier lives, she has been supporting women, infants, and children through public health nutrition services for the past 2 decades. Well, clearly we have a very knowledgeable and experienced guest with us today. So I couldn't be more happy, especially as someone who's passionate and interested in nutrition myself, to have her here. So without further ado, let's get started with the first question. What inspired you to pursue a career in public health nutrition? What formed that kind of transition from being a physician to public health nutrition?
Yeah, human health, working with people has always been something that I wanted to do. And the curiosity about health started very early in my life. For as long as I can remember, my mom was a very avid um, researcher of sorts when it comes to health, her own health, our health. She was an avid reader. She would read up on Indian forms of medicine like Ayurveda, and she was very interested in homeopathy. And for her own health, she felt that homeopathy was, for example, a more benign form of medicine with lesser side effects than compared to the more popular Western medicine, where some of the medications do have side effects, even for simple ailments sometimes. And then Ayurveda, with its very strong traditional and historic background for whole body health, was another form of medicine that was very keen on. So, in a way, there was a lot of talk about health and medicine at home. And growing up, my father felt that I had a inclination or personality to help people out. So that's where it all started. So growing up in the 70s and 80s in India, competition to get into health sciences is very steep or was very steep,
Hmm.
with very few colleges offering the major. And so when it looked like it could get really challenging, I looked for other forms of health to continue to work in the realm of health. And that's when nutrition really showed up as one field that I wanted to pursue.
Okay, cool. So looks like it kind of started from your family, honestly, and a little like maybe even like a coincidence. It's just you're kind of in that environment, and then that's where you went. I'm surprised to hear that. I mean, I never grew up there, but I'm surprised to hear that that was competitive. But I guess given the time as well, it makes sense that it was something that was less offered because a lot of people were probably focused on other subjects. But that's good because then you ended up being niche and unique in that sense. So now, as someone that is working in this field as a public health nutritionist today, what does your typical day look like? Or you can even talk about, what you did today. What's your current role?
Yeah, so the Women, Infants, and Children program is a federally funded program that is administered across all states and even some military outfits. It is for families with limited resources and means to obtain healthy foods. And so every month, each eligible participant in a given family is given a set of healthy foods to jumpstart their month, with the hope that they will supplement their daily diet with other healthy foods. The age groups between pregnancy and children up to the age 5, those are the vulnerable ages. And if we took care of a pregnant mom and ensured that she has a good, healthy start to her pregnancy with healthy foods, we'll ensure better birth outcomes. And then if we help the infants get a good jump start with feeding the mother with healthy foods and giving the infant certain, healthy foods, and continue with those healthy foods through age 5, which are the fastest growing periods or developing periods in a human's life, that we would set them off on a path to have a healthy life. So that's how the program started all those years ago. And we started back in the 70s. We are in the 51st year of the program. And my current role is at the county level, administering across the county of San Mateo. And I'm the program operations supervisor. And so my role encompasses many little things across the day, including any employee issues, talking to my clients as needed, and taking care of everyday operations.
Okay. Wow. So this has been around for a while then. So
Yes.
sounds like impact has been being made for a really long time.
There have
Um,
been quite a few studies of infants born while participating in the WIC program and how their health outcomes have been positive.
yeah, that's definitely good because you have a lot more data to work with as well.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, it is actually one of the youngest years are sometimes the most critical years, and they define how you are when you're like my age, when you're
Yes.
older, everything. So that makes sense. It's good. And so now let's get to some stuff that I think could a lot of the viewers would be really interested in, and is like what are common misconceptions or myths that people have about healthy eating? Because we hear a lot of things growing up and we're taught a
Yeah.
lot of things, but then, especially in this day and age, with how much there is to eat out and how much also information there's out there, some misinformation, use this oil, this much quantity, this type much fat, this much protein, this much carbs, this type of food, that vegetarian, non-vegetarian, there's like so much out there. So what are I mean, if we were to cover all that, we'd be here all day, but what are some
Right.
big common misconceptions that you can cover that would really help people clear up those misconceptions.
For sure, for sure. Um, Believing that low carb or carb free or carbohydrate free diet is the way to go for a healthier body. Carbohydrates are one of the most essential food groups, and so avoiding carbohydrates means you're taking away a large part of an essential diet, because carbohydrate rich foods, which means grains,
Hmm.
give us a lot of vitamins and minerals
Hmm.
and energy and fiber when
Hmm.
eaten in the right form. So whole grain versus processed grain, whole grain versus polished grain.
Hmm.
So that's where we were talking earlier about brown rice, for example. So if you consumed rice that has been pounded, which means that the husk is gently removed while maintaining the layer of nutrients that covers the main endosperm or the main grain, which is carb rich, then you get in the carbohydrates plus the fiber and the vitamins and minerals that are surrounding it. So eating whole grains
Hmm.
and eating reduced amount of processed grain is better than a carb-free diet.
Hmm.
Or for that matter, low fat or fat-free diets.
Hmm.
Fat, again, is an essential nutrient. It helps to create satiety or fullness after a meal. And so if you do not eat any fat in a given meal, you might get hungry sooner and actually end up eating more than less.
Hmm.
Also, if you look at the physiology of the human body, fat is very essential as a protective layer under your skin, as a protective layer around the organs, even at the cell level. it maintains the integrity of the membrane along with the protein. And so fats are essential. It is more important to eat the right kind of fats, which are unsaturated fats or
Mhm.
um, lower saturated fats than fully saturated fats. So animal fats are saturated fats, like eating butter every day in all your meals.
Mhm.
Maybe eating it in excess. But if you choose like nut oils, nut butters, eating avocados, which
Okay.
are high in fat, but they're good fats,
Mhm.
so things like that.
Mhm.
Same thing with sugar. I mean, avoiding sugar is not the solution. Eating it in moderation is the solution.
Mhm.
And just because you substitute it with, let's say, honey or another kind of sugar doesn't mean sugars are not going in. They're still calories. So eating
Mhm.
in moderation. Um, so those are some things that one can think about. So everything in moderation and not completely avoiding something, thinking that it's bad.
Mhm.
Because sometimes when you avoid something that you really like, then you crave it more.
Yeah.
And so balancing it out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so looks like with the fat one, I think that's a big one because people think, oh, fats are bad. Well,
Mm.
saturated fats are probably not the best, artery clogging and all those effects that we have. But then avocados, for example, have a lot of fat, but very healthy fat. So avocado oil, for example, um,
Absolutely.
is probably a much better oil to use than some of the other seed oils that we have on the market. Um, so I think that's definitely a good one to keep in mind. And that's another thing. The carbohydrate one is that one I hear like a lot, but carbs are literally how we get our energy. So
Yes.
we can't, I mean, I think it's all safe to say we can't really live without carbs. We do need carbs.
If you do go carb free or
Hmm.
low carb and do not take care of balancing your diet with other nutrients, what happens is the body goes into a self-preservation mode
Hmm.
and tries to save the fat in the body. So
Hmm.
if you need to lose weight, for example, and if you need to go low calorie,
Hmm.
you have to eat a balanced diet and make sure that you're doing it right.
Hmm.
A temporary low carb diet or carb free diet to jumpstart your metabolism and start that weight loss process may
Hmm.
be okay to motivate you to keep on your weight loss journey.
Hmm.
But at the same time, making sure to carefully add back certain amounts of carbohydrates while balancing your other nutrients to make sure that your metabolism is happening correctly and that your weight loss journey can continue in a healthy manner is more important than going carb-free.
Hmm. So if you in the short term, it seems like it's okay, but if you were to go carbohydrate free for in the long term, that would definitely cause issues.
Yeah, also when you say carbohydrate free, if you think about it, let's say you're thinking about leafy greens, right? So leafy greens in themselves do have a certain amount of carbohydrate. So there's
Mhm.
um, you can go grain free,
Mm.
but you can't go carb free.
Yeah, it's basically almost impossible.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a distinction one needs to make and make
Mhm.
sure that you focus on lowering the amount of grains you eat or
Mhm.
carb-rich foods you eat. For
Mhm.
example, if you are a vegetarian and you are trying to go carb-free, it is definitely a little bit more challenging because if you're a vegetarian, the protein sources that are available to you are kind of limited in terms of being pure protein.
Yeah.
Um, Tofu might be the closest to a pure protein, but if you're looking at pulses or if you're looking at legumes or um, beans, for example, they're a combination of carbohydrates and protein.
Protein.
And so if you want to focus on those, then you need to look at really the nutrient content of each of the foods that you're eating along with the ingredients and see how you're balancing your grains, your carbohydrate rich foods, or your combination foods and your protein foods.
Yeah. And I assume that would also you'd also have to take into account your metabolism and also the amount of physical activity, the type of physical activity.
Absolutely. It's all completely related. you were also mentioning earlier about fast metabolism.
Yeah.
And sometimes metabolism can be misleading because you might think, oh, I can eat everything and still look like I do.
Hmm.
If you look slim and if you look like you're not gaining too much weight.
Hmm.
But if you look at people in India, for example, studies have shown for years and years and years that regardless of body type, their lipid panels can be very unhealthy,
Hmm.
showing high cholesterol, for example,
Hmm.
their sugar panel can be very surprising
Hmm.
with even people that do not have a lot of, say, visceral or abdominal obesity or in general off healthy weight
Hmm.
because of a genetic predisposition and because of general lifestyle,
Hmm.
end up being diabetic regardless of body weight.
Hmm.
And so metabolism is a very, very important thing, but
Hmm.
even people with high metabolism, it is important to balance their nutrients
Hmm.
and focus on physical activity as a hand-in-hand mechanism to not only maintain their good metabolism, but also their um, health overall.
Okay. So I should probably give it as a PSA to all those people with fast metabolisms who are very skinny, no matter how much they eat, they stay like that, they keep getting hungry. Doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want. Maybe they have a little more leeway, but realistically speaking, it's also still important because there are still long-term consequences for the same. Even if they are, very young, they keep getting hungry. No matter how much they eat, they stay the same.
I was going to interject and say age does matter.
Hmm.
Obviously, when you're younger and you have a good metabolism, and when you're younger, you also tend to be a lot more active physically than as you grow older.
Yeah.
And the metabolism intrinsically tends to be better and faster when you're younger than when you age.
Hmm.
So, for all those reasons, younger people can take those risks and not worry too much. But it is when you're young that you're laying the foundation for later.
Hmm.
So, when you're younger, eating healthy, maintaining adequate physical activity, building that bone strength, building that muscle strength, and laying that foundation both physiologically and with aspects of diet will leave you in good stead for later years. Not to say that if you do everything right when you're young, you don't have to do a lot as you age.
Hmm.
What you do changes. What you need to do changes.
Hmm.
And the needs of the body to continue to maintain that bone health, that muscle strength,
Hmm.
shifts as you age.
Hmm.
And so um, one has to continue to watch their health and watch those changes happening and adapt to what one's body needs.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, so very insightful because I think part of the reason I wanted to address that and bring that into light was also because I know, I mean, just the media I consume, what I hear, what I see is a lot about, hey, weight loss program, Weight Watchers,
Yes. Yes.
Ozempic, like all this stuff and everything that a lot of majority of what I see in the media is about losing weight or like, oh, if you eat this, you're just gonna feel more hungry. So the goal is to not feel as hungry, so you're eating less. But then I'm thinking, okay, what about all the people on the other side of the spectrum that are trying to gain weight, that are always feeling hungry, that are like no matter what they eat, how much they eat, like they just feel hungry later. And like thus, I wanted to make sure that, we address that side of the spectrum as well, because I think when we're putting this out in the media, that's not something that is seen as much. You did address some aspects to that side, but I wanted to cover that side as well because I do think, especially for the people that are younger, teens, early 20s, we do see a lot of that. Thank you definitely for addressing that.
Right. Also, when you're younger, being a parent of two teenagers myself, I see the inclination or the um, inclination to eat out a lot or
Mhm.
eat out because you want to go out and meet friends, to hang out, to choose popular places to go to. And when you're there to order something and eat.
Mhm.
Um, And all that is fine as long as you choose the right foods and the
Mhm.
right, portion sizes to eat.
Mhm.
Um, and we spoke about diet, we spoke about physical activity, but along with these, sleep is also very, very essential.
Oh yeah.
One that I think youngsters do not pay a lot of importance to.
Mhm.
Um, I'm seeing my own children wanting to burn their candle at both ends, stay up late, wake up early,
Mhm.
go on as nothing's happening. And because when you're younger, your bodies can take that stress on. It's easier to think that it's all right. But in the long run, it does affect your metabolism. It does go into a protective mode, increase your cortisols, make you gain weight. Doesn't
Mhm.
happen overnight. It
Yeah.
just happens gradually. So while oh, I've been doing this for a whole year. I'm fine. Nothing happened. Yeah, because you're young. Your body has the capacity to bounce back.
Mhm.
Uh, but in the long run, all of it is important.
Yeah, I think that sleep is kind of the answer to all questions. Sometimes in a lot of cases, a lot of the questions I get answered, sleep and stress I've noticed is sleep,
Yeah.
stress, water, like these things, no matter what goal you're trying to achieve, physical, mental, keep these things because they definitely matter. Whether you're trying to gain weight, whether you're trying to lose weight, like whatever it
Yes.
is, please sleep well, sleep
Yes.
properly. Sometimes you might have to sleep late, but yeah, you don't want to wake up early. If you wake up early, make sure you're going to bed early. You know, we have different schedules. It's not obviously always ideal to maintain just that right circadian rhythm, but at the very least, control what we can. So that,
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
You did mention eating out, and I did want to actually ask about that. One thing I think I've noticed, and something else that you said kind of reminded me of that. I did think about it personally. If I wanted to meet people, if I wanted to meet friends, I did realize that maybe in the past few years, it's always been like I'd always look up a restaurant, I'd always choose a restaurant. And then I thought about it, I was like, if I want to meet the person, I don't necessarily need to choose a restaurant, I don't necessarily need to eat out. I can still eat at home and then meet the person, or I can still come back and then eat.
Or eat a little, so you're not as hungry when you go to the
Yeah.
restaurant. So you limit the amount of food you eat at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Um, what the one pressure that restaurants have is to serve fast.
Hmm.
Which means that on the back end they have to pre-prepare their meals at
Hmm.
least to some extent before they serve it to you.
Hmm.
So there is more likelihood that a lot of salt is being added or other preservatives are being added or
Hmm.
that food is being cooked and frozen and thawed very quickly before it's served to you. It
Hmm.
does not happen at every restaurant, obviously. Some restaurants are a lot more, ethical and a lot more conscientious in the way they cook and prepare their meals.
Hmm.
But it could happen sometimes. So eating out less if you can, but if you tend to eat out a lot more, choosing foods that are more likely to be freshly prepared, like a salad,
Hmm.
or that have very few ingredients and simpler recipes, like a simple saute. That don't need a lot of like pre-made sauces that have been frozen and thawed to give flavor to your food.
Hmm.
Simple things like that to think about. Or, like I said earlier, just eating a little bit at home so you're not that hungry, so you don't eat a lot when
Hmm.
you're at that restaurant.
Hmm.
And making sure to drink a lot of water.
Hmm.
Not right at the meal time,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. Um, I heard you can correct me if I'm wrong. I heard not just before, during, or right after, but
Right.
all while else.
Yes. And
Yeah.
all of the times drinking
Yes, and
adequate
all of
water.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of tying into that. I mean, obviously you want to avoid it as much as possible, and that's something that I've tried doing more. I'm like, hey, if I can choose a spot to meet someone that's doesn't have to do with eating out, then maybe I'll try that instead. And I think that's been also definitely helping. But because eating out is so common and because it is something a lot of families enjoy and things, what are some tips in terms of making informed food choices? Any restaurant recommendations you have, any things you'd be like, you see this at a restaurant, maybe a South Asian restaurant, Chinese restaurant, avoid this, that fried stuff, so too much oil, like, anything like that, so you can kind of go into that and what you've experienced and what you'd recommend when we do go out.
Um, yeah. In terms of restaurants, um, I don't know. I think salads are quite safe. They're usually raw. they're not cooked, so they avoid a lot of the extra ingredients that are added to them.
Hmm.
Um, at the same time, just eating in moderation, I think, is good enough. Focusing more on getting lean protein um, versus, you know, red meat, for example, chicken versus red meat. Chicken is more lean protein
Hmm.
and easier to digest and healthier.
Hmm.
Going to restaurants with a good reputation. Um, I'm a vegetarian, so I usually choose, uh, places that offer vegetarian choices.
Hmm.
Um, some Asian cuisines do a lot of sautés with simple ingredients. So looking at the ingredient list or looking at the menu and looking at some of the recipes can
Hmm.
help. It's a lot of research to do each time you go out,
Hmm.
and maybe you wouldn't want to, but those are some things that you can do, avoiding things like pizza, for example, because it has a lot of carbohydrates and most of the pizza bases are pre-made and then, heated before they give them to you.
Hmm.
And it's made with processed grain versus whole grain.
Yeah.
Obviously, over the last 20 years that I've lived in this country, I've seen a lot of change in the restaurant scene as well.
Hmm.
And there's a lot more healthier choices available for every type of eater, including pizzas, where now we are getting pizzas made with cauliflower bases.
Yeah.
Um, so I think there are at this time a lot more healthy choices out there if one just takes a couple of minutes to read up on the restaurants that they're going to and the kind of foods that that restaurant has to offer,
Okay. Yeah. So basically, long story short, do your research. Don't look at the menu when you get there, look at the menu beforehand.
if you can.
Yeah. And one of the last questions as we get closer to the end here, you were kind of hinting at this, but as a parent yourself and also a nutritionist, what kind of advice do you have for parents? How can they encourage their children to eat more nutritious traditional foods over processed foods and just be on the healthier side?
What has worked for me at home is I always tell my children, try it first before you reject it. And I try to offer them a variety of foods that I ate growing up,
Hmm.
as well as try and incorporate some of the foods that they've gotten used to because of being born and raised here in the United States. And so that has helped to introduce them to the flavors and tastes of the foods that I ate growing up, as well as winning their, confidence and their interest in the foods that are served at home because I'm offering them foods that they're seeing other people eat or that they're eating when they go out or when they. So mixing and matching those foods. Encouraging them to maybe cook with you or even prep with you, and talking about the food that you're cooking, the ingredients that are going in, maybe even helping them taste those ingredients before they go in.
Mm.
Um, Encouraging them to recognize, the food that they eat outside, and see if you have the same food at home,
Hmm.
things like that. Um, so various things at different ages, different methods work.
Yeah.
When they're really young, it's more about taste and look. When they grow older, it's more about encouraging them to understand the nutrition behind them, the processing behind it, and the cost of the foods that are available.
Hmm.
And when they're old enough to make it themselves, to try and mix and match the foods and make different things that look and taste interesting,
Hmm.
um, while being nutritious.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about it, collaborate, educate, and then when they're young, make it look nice.
And give in sometimes. Give
Yeah.
in to them, let them eat what they like too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Let them eat the sugary pastries or drink a cup of soda now and then,
Mm-hmm.
uh, while reminding them to keep it in moderation.
Okay. All right. Last couple questions, and then we'll keep these like kind of almost like a short answer questions. One small change people could make in their daily diet for a big impact. If you had to pick, what would it be?
Um, Always stop eating while you are a little hungry. Don't eat until your hunger is 100% fulfilled.
Hmm.
Leave 10 or 15%, um, wanting to eat a little bit more. Stop at that point in time.
Oh,
That automatically helps you control your calorie intake.
okay. And then last question and or basically ending message is what message would you like our audience to take away about their role in building healthier communities for themselves and for everyone else? Kind of the take and just a takeaway message for everyone and how they can be healthier.
Everything in moderation, even though that sounds like a time-tested cliche, it actually works. Being aware of what you eat and eating mindfully, focusing on what you eat,
Mhm.
um, um, and being sustainable in your habits. For example, limiting food waste, buying and preparing only what you actually need and what you think you can actually eat with yourself and with your family, and not wasting the resources that you have available to you.
Okay. Well, thank you for that message. And thank you so much again for your time. Truly, truly appreciate all the insight that you had to offer to our viewers. I'm sure this will be enjoyed by the viewers. I definitely enjoyed this. I definitely learned a lot of things here. And yeah, I hope everyone watches this podcast and I hope everyone watches till the end. If you watch till the end, thank you so much. And I hope from the beginning of the podcast to the end of the podcast, you already made some decisions about being healthier yourself. Um, Other than that, that's all for this one. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time. And thank you again to Sujatha Ganesh for all her insight. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I hope you got something out of today's conversation.
Oh, yeah, I definitely did. All right. Thank you,
Very
everyone.
nice meeting you. Thank you.